Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 13. I heard a voice calling out, whirling wheels. I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Almighty Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Almighty Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the men in GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is Brother Boaz on the set once again. Oh, will, okay? These are the crafts that Yahweh Shai is going to use to beam up the elect when this thing finally transpires, okay? When the destruction happened, okay? And if you want a one-way ticket out of here, you better call on the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and have the right doctrine, okay? That's what this is all about. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 10, verse 8. I saw that each creature had what looked like human hands underneath their wings. Let's talk about the technology, okay? It looked human, okay? The technology. I also saw that there was four wheels that looked alike, one beside each creature. The wheels shone like precious stones, and each one of had another wheel intersecting its right angles, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Okay, Ezekiel's talking about these crafts that Yahweh Shai is going to use. Okay, to destroy America and simultaneously to beam up the elect. Okay, that's what this is all about. When the creatures moved, they could go in any direction without turning. They moved together in the direction they wanted to without having to turn around. They could make any turns at any direction. That's how that's the technology and how high and powerful these UFOs are. Okay, these UFOs are incredible. Okay, the amount of power that they have. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 10, verse 15. They were the same creatures that I seen by the Kibar River. When the creatures rose in the airs and moved, the wheels went up with them. Whenever they spreaded their wings to fly, the wheels still went with them. When the creatures stopped, the wheels stopped. And when the creatures flew, the wheels went out with them because the creatures was controlling them. Okay, that's black men in these UFOs controlling these crafts, piloting these crafts, okay? And they're going to beam up the elect when this thing goes down. That's what this is all about. Then the dazzling light, that's a big giant spaceship that Yahweh is on right now, okay? A big giant spaceship that Yahweh Shai is on, okay? This I like the GNT. It goes into the dazzling lights. Okay, that's the lights of the aircraft. Okay, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 10, verse 18. Then the dazzling light of the Lord Yahweh's presence left the entrance of the temple and moved to a place above the creatures. They spreaded their wings and flew up from among the earth while I was watching, and the wheels went with them. They paused from the east, and the temple and the dazzling light was over them. Okay, that's Yahweh Shai's big giant UFO. Okay, the dazzling light of Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's the lights of the craft. Okay, that's what this is all about. Okay, and if you want yourself a one-way ticket out of here, we in pre-boarding stages right now, okay? America's about to be destroyed, okay? We don't got much more time left in this place, okay? And this in this little bit of a kingdom that this man has left, okay? This man's about to be destroyed, okay? That's why it's imperative that we call upon the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, okay? That's what this is about. The book of Second Ezra, chapter 16, verse 13. Strong as his high hand and bend the bow, his arrows and shoot are sharp and will not miss. When they began to be shot at the ends of the world, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return until they come upon the earth. The fires kindled and shall not be put out till it assumes the foundations of the earth. Like an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer, returneth not backwards. Even so, the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Okay, that's a destruction. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay, and Ezekiel is explaining vividly these crafts. Okay, the dazzling light of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Okay, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 11, verse 22. The living creatures began to fly, and the wheels went with them. The dazzling light of the presence of the power of Israel was over them. Then the dazzling light left the city and moved to the mountains east of it. Okay, that's Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's a big giant UFO. Okay, that all the governments of the earth are seeing out there. Okay, and they're in fear. Okay, that's why you want to come back to this thing now. Okay, that's a dazzling light of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. First Peter. First Peter chapter 1, verse 1. From Peter, apostle of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, to Yahweh's chosen people who live as refugees scattered throughout the province of Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Britannica. You are chosen according to the purpose of Yahweh's the Father, and were made holy people by his Spirit, and to obey Yahweh Shah Mashiach, and will be purified by his blood. Okay, that's what this is all about. Okay, okay. These are the crafts of Ezekiel. Okay, coming to beam up the elect who are chosen on that day. Okay, because you're going to have to be saved from the fierce anger and the fierce wrath of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Okay, you're going to have to be saved from it and spared. Okay, because when this thing goes down, it's going to be a mass death and destruction. Yahweh Shai's coming. Okay, to do. Okay, he's going to destroy this place. Okay, and you're gonna have to be in some UFOs. Okay, you're gonna have to be in some UFOs. Okay, that's what this is all about. Turn to the book of Isaiah. Turn to the book of Isaiah. One moment. The book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 20. The book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 20. Go in your houses, my people, and shut the doors. That's these UFOs behind you, and hide yourself for a little while until Yahweh's anger is over. The Lord Yahweh is coming from his heavenly dwelling place to punish the people of the earth for all their sins, the murders that were secretly committed on the earth will be revealed, and the ground will no longer hide those who have been killed. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay, so if you want to come clean, okay, and come back to the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, okay, that's what this is about. Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 1. On the 5th day of the 14th month of the 13th year, I, Ezekiel, the priest, son of Bizai, was living with the Jewish exiles by the Kibar River in Babylonia. The sky opened, and I saw a vision of Yahweh. It was the 5th year since King Jehoiakim have been taken into exile. Okay, so Ezekiel saw the sky open. He saw these big giant crafts, okay, flying, okay, glowing metal, okay, flying, okay. That's this man's ass, okay. Can't you see the so-called white man's about to be destroyed, okay? They don't know what to do, okay. The governments are panicked. There in Babylonia, besides the Kibar River, I heard Yahweh speak to me, and I felt his power. I looked up and I saw world a windstorm coming from the northern lights. It was flashing from a huge cloud, and the sky around it was glowing. Okay, that's these crafts. They glow. Okay, that's the power of them. Okay, they glow. Okay, that's the power of these giant UFOs. Were enlightening and was flashing something shone like bronze. At the center of the storm, I saw what looked like four living creatures in human form. That's the angels, okay? That's it. That's this man's ass, okay? The so-called white man spun his last web, okay? That you see this man's about to be destroyed. Okay, can't you see the so-called white man's about to be destroyed? Okay, and all these other nations are going to get put into slavery. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay, this is so-called white man's finished. Okay, we just need to endure. Okay, endure a little bit more longer. Okay, we know once again, like we discussed on multiple occasions, we know that we're going through tribulations. We know we're going through hardships. Okay, endure hardships of your ministry. Okay, that's it. Okay, but keep enduring. Okay, Yahweh Yahweh Shai got our backs. Okay, that's what this is all about. Verse 6. But each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and they had hooves like those of a bull, and shone like the brownish head. They had angels. They had ninja shoes on. In addition to their 4 faces, their 4 wings, each was human hands underneath the wings. That's that human technology. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay, that's what this is about. They can't duplicate these UFOs. Okay, all the governments on the earth know about them. Okay, this is highly classified. They have to come out and tell the people now about these UFOs. Okay, oh will. Okay, that's why Ezekiel said, "Oh will." Okay, old whirling wheel, okay? That's what this is about, okay? This thing's going down. And if you want to be on a midnight train that drove you out of here, on a one-way ticket out of here, you got to call upon the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and keep your posture and keep your integrity. Verse 10, each living creature have four different faces: a human face on the front, a lion face on the right, a bull's face on the left, and an eagle's face on the back, meaning they fierce at every angle, okay? Wherever angle you catch them at, they fierce, okay? In any direction. Verse 12, each creature face all four directions, and so group could go wherever they wish without having to turn, okay? They could make 90-degree turns without shifting, okay? That's the technology of them. I seen a flying scroll. One moment. Let's see if we can get that scripture. Okay, one moment. Verse 14, the creatures themselves darted back and forth at speed of lightning. They travel at the speed of light, okay? And I could look at the four creatures, and I saw wheels touching the ground, one beside each of them. All four wheels were alike, each one shone like a precious stone, and each one another wheel intersecting at the right angle, okay? Wheels in the middle of a wheel, okay? That's a UFO that Ezekiel is trying to explain in his own terminology, okay? I know these Bibles read a little bit different, but that's his form of his technology, his terminology that he's using about these spacecrafts, okay? So the wheels could move at any four directions. The rims of the wheels were covered with eyes. Whenever the creatures will move, the wheels will move with them. And if the creatures rose from the earth, so did the wheels. The creatures went whatever they wish, and the wheels did exactly what the creatures did because the creatures was controlling them, okay? The creatures was controlling them, okay? Wheels in the middle of a wheel. So every time the creatures moved or stopped or rose in the air, the wheels did exactly the same. Okay, they flew. Okay, Ezekiel saying it's flying crafts. Okay, coming. This is this white man's ass. Okay, he's gonna have to fight these crafts when this thing goes down. Revelations 12:9. Okay, he's going to have to fight these crafts when this thing goes down. Okay, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a battle. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 27. The figures seem to be shining like bronze. Yahushua is a black man. In the middle of the fire, it shone all over with a bright light that had it all colors of the rainbow. This was the dazzling light that which showed the presence of Yahweh. When I saw this, I fell downwards on the ground. Then I heard a voice saying, "That's it. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Mortal man, stand up. I want you to talk. I want to talk to you. Okay, that's Yahweh Shai. Okay." That's Ezekiel giving you, explaining you the vision. That's what this is about. The book of Zechariah. The book of Zechariah, chapter 5, verse 1. I looked again, and this time I saw a scroll flying through the air. The angel asked me what I saw. I answered, a flying scroll through the air. It seemed 30 feet long and 15 feet wide. And hopefully on that you was well edified. I like to give all praises and glory to Almighty Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.